Hi everyone, thank you for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, my name is Stefan and this is my self-built camper van. Ganapati is where I live, is what I travel with. It's my studio to make these videos for you. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about how I got in this lifestyle. Story time! I started looking in this lifestyle maybe over 6 years ago now when I lived in New York. Basically, I came across a YouTube video and I saw this family that was actually traveling through Europe in a VW Combi. I think it was a Combi, maybe a Westfalia, one of those. I never really thought this was a lifestyle until I came across that video. And you know, like anything with YouTube, you just kind of start watching more and more and more. And I realized, wow, a lot of people actually travel this way. A few years later, after watching a bunch of videos and, you know, thinking, that's probably never gonna happen, I actually went and bought a van. At the time, I lived in New York, in Manhattan, which means apartments were super small and very expensive. I also had roommates and stuff like that to be able to even afford a bedroom in Manhattan. So when I started researching van life, I figured the apartment that I'm in right now, it's not much bigger than, or the bedroom that I was renting in the apartment was not much bigger than a van, believe it or not. I know it's hard to believe, but that's how small they are in New York. Don't believe those shows that show these beautiful apartments. If they exist, they cost $30,000 a month, which not all of us can afford. The ones that you can afford, they're small like a van. This lifestyle started becoming more and more attractive to me. I could get a van for 3-4 months of what I was paying rent in New York and a good vehicle, and then after that I wouldn't have any more rent to pay. I would just have the van. I also saw lifestyles with people living in sailboats and stuff like that. That was a little bit far-reached one. I don't know how to sail, to like being on the water. I was like, I'll just do the van life thing. So I went from there. At the time, the vans weren't expensive as they are today, but still, like when I was looking at Westfalias, just to kind of get an idea, they were still expensive. They're actually on the rise to be how much they cost now. I'm afraid to look right now because they probably cost a lot of money. And the new taller vans, like the Mercedes Sprinter and I think the Ram ProMaster and the Ford Transit, they had just come into market. They were fairly new. You couldn't really find any used ones, so they were really expensive as well. That left me with two choices. Chevy, I guess they make GMC as well, but you know, GM, let's say, and Ford. I did some research before. Some people said Fords are better. Some people said GM vehicles are better. I came across a Ford first, so that's what I bought. And it is not this van. This is my second van build. I'm getting ahead of myself. So the first van that I bought was a 2000 or 2001 Ford E150, and it was a cargo van. And it also had the barn doors on the side rather than the sliding doors, so I can utilize those to like make some drop lift table or something like that on one of the doors, which is what I did. I figured I would buy a cheap van, and if I didn't like it, I think I spent like $2,000 on it. Yes, it was pretty inexpensive. I must have spent another $1,500 or something like that to get some solar panels, built out the van, and it was very basic. I got some pallet wood free off the street. I made sure there's no bugs or anything like that in them, and I went at it. I put some insulation, some of that wool insulation. I do not recommend that, but I stuffed a bunch of that in there everywhere, in all the crevices and crannies and stuff. At the time, I think I bought a very cheap Gold Zero battery. It was like a smaller one, and then 2 solar panels on the roof. It was the flexible ones. Do not recommend those because they start getting damaged too fast. It didn't last very long as opposed to the rigid panels. They last a little bit longer. However, this was years ago. Maybe they've gotten better over the years, but I wanted the thin panels because I wanted to be stealth. They were very flush to the roof. Little did I know, I didn't care that it was a 150 or 250, which I should have. Nobody really says that in their van builds. They just say like, I bought a van, but they forget to tell you, maybe you should get something that can handle more weight, because E150 did not handle very well. I was actually kind of afraid to go on long trips because it was just very tilty. The goal was for me to get into the lifestyle very cheaply. $2,000 for the van, another $1,500 to put all the stuff in, and now I had a $3,500 van. It maybe took me about 2, maybe 3 weeks working every day. Again, it was simple. I didn't have any water system. I just had like one jug and just refilled it and used that for water. I didn't have a fridge. I just had a cooler box, if you know what that is. It's more like a construction guy kind of box. You know, you just plug that in your cigarette lighter while you're driving, I'm guessing, and then you just have like a chilled box with your food. So it wasn't big, and it drained so much power from my house battery that I got. For the most part, I ended up just kind of eating out. You know, I tried a few times to store food in there. Because it killed my battery, the food was spoiled pretty quickly, and it was in the middle of the summer. So what that little battery actually was mainly used for was the vent that I had. I had a fantastic, it was a fantastic vent. This is a Max Air, and when I bought it, I was so stoked about it because it had the, like, you know, if it started raining, then it had a sensor where the lid would close and it was, you know, so it doesn't rain inside. But the problem with that is that if you can't vent the van when it's raining, it's gonna get super humid in the van, but yet you can't vent anything. So with the Max Air fan, I can actually run it in the rain, and I have another vent up front. I can pop that open and then I can circulate some air. That was my first van. I loved it. I was like off and on. I still had an apartment. Maybe I stayed 2 months in it during the summer. Then I sold it, and I sold it for a pretty good profit, in my opinion. I sold it for like $7,000. The van was mechanically in great condition. Underneath was a little bit rusted. Again, it was a beater van, which I bought just to kind of see if I liked the lifestyle before I jumped in and paid a lot of money on a van. When I sold it, I moved to California. I bought this van here because it's a California vehicle, so no rust, highway miles. They only had like 56,000 miles. The old van I forgot to mention, that was a V6 with my sturdy build pallet wood. It was like a fat hippo on the mountain passes. This time around, this van has a 5.4 liter V8, so it has a lot more power. And this time around, it's a 350 rather than 150. If some of you wonder what that means, you know, like how you see trucks, like they say Ford F-150 or, you know, Ford F-250. It means the payload, and the axles are usually a lot beefier as well for 350s and stuff like that. You can add more payload to it. This van is pretty happy on the freeway. It doesn't squat or anything with all the stuff that I have here. The V8 works just fine. It's not the fastest in the world. It's not going to win any races, but it's also going to be able to go up those mountain passes no problem. She's a little thirsty, but it's not dangerous to drive down the road. This was a little bit more expensive. I think I paid $6,500 for it. I took my time. I wanted to buy more quality products this time around, like the solar panels. They're from Renogy. It's one of the better companies out there. Now I have a Battle-Born lithium battery, 100 amp hour. I cannot kill this battery. I tried. Believe me, I tried running the heater at the same time with the fridge. As soon as it feels that I'm pulling power out of the battery, it allows more sun in. But I have 400 watts of solar, and I can never run 400 watts of anything here. So not that it gets 400 watts of solar. If it's prime sun, it can get over 300. Plus, I also have alternator charging now. So when I run the vehicle, I drive around, automatically my charge controller just takes power from the alternator and pushes it in the house battery. So this house battery has never seen under 90% discharge, believe it or not. I know it's crazy, but I have an app that shows me exactly where the battery is, and it's always topped off, which is awesome. It's basically like a shunt that I connected to the negative to the battery. This van has been nothing but great to me. I even have a hanging closet and pretty much everything I need to be self-contained in this lifestyle. I also have a sink with a water pump, stove, big fridge. If you want to know more about this van right here that I currently have and I live in, and I don't plan to sell anytime soon, I do have a van tour. You can just check that out up here. It has a heater now. It's a diesel heater. I have a extra container of diesel fuel because my van is gas, so it won't work if I were to tap into the gas tank of the vehicle. That would be nice, but the gas heaters, they're like $1,200. That would cost me even extra money if I were to go to a professional to do it. This heater was like $150 on Amazon, and I installed it myself in one afternoon. I didn't have to drop any tank or anything like that. I've lived in this van for 2 years now, and you know, I bought myself every year one of those $80 America the Beautiful passes. So I've gone to national parks. I stayed in federal land. Most of the time, federal land is free. You don't really need to put that pass, but some of the places like the one that I'm in right now actually does have something in writing that you have to hang some sort of adventure pass, which those in California I think cost like $5 or $10 per year, but they can only be used for places where they ask for adventure pass. However, the pass that I have, this is the National Forest Service, and this allows the America the Beautiful pass as well. That pass can get you in a lot of places. So I have that every year, and then I camp for free I don't remember the last time I paid for camping, to be honest with you. And the reason I don't pay for camping anymore, because last time I paid like $40 to stay one night. So that adds up quickly. I was out of there very quickly. They had showers. It was nice. But other than that, I've been staying at free campgrounds like this one. This allows you to stay for 14 days for free, as long as I have the America the Beautiful pass. The ranger did come around yesterday to check to see if I have the pass. I actually have to buy another pass next month. But yeah, this van has been taking me to so many places. I love being in the outdoors. A lot of the places like this has cell signal. If you're not comfortable going in places with no signal, there are other places that you can go to, and sometimes they're tougher to find for a good reason, because not a lot of places post them just so they don't get flooded with people. So we have to do a little research or just drive around. This is how I started. I love to do photography. That's a big reason why I got the van, so I can be a moving studio. That way I do photography. I make these videos for you on YouTube. So this is essentially my studio. This is where I edit all the YouTube videos, or most of my YouTube videos. I sit in bed in here, or I'll sit in the front passenger seat with my computer in my lap, because it's a laptop, and edit away. After I do the filming, I edit, and so it's also my working space. Is this lifestyle worth it for everybody? I'm not sure. For me, 100% yes. I haven't paid rent in 2 years, and I don't have payments, so I basically pay insurance and gas and food, and you know, I have some savings just to make sure if anything goes wrong with the van, I have money to fix it. I try to do preventative service for the van, so I actually don't have to run into problems. And at this time, I think it has around 92,000 miles on it, maybe 93. It's been running great, no problems at all. I changed all the spark plugs, I changed the fuel filter, changed a lot of things before they went bad and broke something expensive. I don't feel like it's extra money for me, because if I were to have a car anyway to go to work and go back to home, I would still have to do all these extra maintenance for the vehicle that I would use just to get me around. It just so happens that this van is also my home. So basically my lifestyle is not super expensive. I do, however, am very careful on what I spend the money on. The van is always with me. It turns out I don't need that many things. I really just have only the things that I need, and I still think that I should give some things away. And I always look and, you know, ask myself, do I need this? If not, I can donate it, give it to somebody else that can actually use it. I have too many pans in here that I barely use. This is my journey. I know it's not easy for everybody to get in the lifestyle. You know, it does require a little bit of money. Many people start with a van like I did, a beater up van, kind of save up some money off rent, and then buy a better van, and build from there. But it's a lifestyle that can be very attainable. Start just with a mattress or like a sleeping bag in the car. I know some places are really cold, so maybe that wouldn't work. But I have heard of people that sleep in their car even without a heater, and they just bundle up and all that stuff. That's a little bit rough in it, but it can be done. You know, you can get in the lifestyle. I would suggest at least get in the lifestyle in the spring. So, you know, at least you have the summer and fall to get ready for the winter. Just to get a little bit of a taste of how you like the lifestyle, or maybe you don't like the lifestyle. It's enough time for you to have a few months and then, you know, decide if you want to keep the van before winter starts. This has been my story. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. And if you did and you want to see more van life related content, there's links everywhere. Alright guys, until next time.